Welcome to Friday. Lots to talk about today. You've already seen the title. You know where we're going. Let's get straight into it. WWE comments on recent COVID-19 cases. There's also some backstage changes at NXT UK. And a top SmackDown star undergoes surgery. Talk about that in a little bit. So there was some talk and some rumours doing the rounds about a whole load of COVID-19 positive tests from WWE, and WWE put out a statement about it yesterday saying the following: as part of ongoing testing protocols, WWE completed its second round of weekly COVID-19 testing on Tuesday. Individuals that tested positive will quarantine for 14 days, receive medical care, and then will only be cleared when they are symptom-free and test negative. Additionally, extensive contact tracing has taken place and other individuals have been placed in 14-day quarantine and will then only be cleared after they test negative. So this is something WWE hasn't really done in terms of acknowledging that there have been some positive tests for COVID-19. They're normally quite quiet about that. PW Insider have also reported that training's been paused at the Performance Centre as of Thursday. We're hearing from numerous sources that this particular spread of COVID-19 has come as a result of a party thrown by the NXT recruits that the trainees attended. That's what we're hearing this morning. NXT has tapings up until the 4th of October, which means there's no immediate cause for concern in regards to takeover, because there's quite a bit of time between now and then should something go down. But these are weird times. We'll keep you updated on that one. We do know that one NXT star has tested positive and has announced it online. It was Chelsea Green, who went onto her socials and said, "It feels so good to be out and about again after testing positive for COVID. I'm thankful I'm starting to feel like myself. Wear your masks," says Chelsea. According to PW Insider, she's now free and clear of the virus. So she had it, she's cleared it, she's moving back, which does explain why we haven't seen much of Chelsea Green. Now, whilst NXT is recorded up until the 4th of October, there is some concern for Clash of Champions, which is this Sunday, as there may have been some cross-contamination. We saw on Monday Night Raw during the Retribution angle, there was about 10-15 other members of Retribution, like the Goon Squad of Retribution, all piled into the ring, and it turns out that those were recruits from NXT and numerous other places. And in fact, it has also been reported by some sources as well that some of the positive tests have come as a result of Monday, and that and that pile-in from the Retribution guys, who were a mixture of NXT recruits who were already in amongst people who were testing positive, if you see what I mean. So there is some concern that this may filter a little bit further up the chain of command, may affect Clash of Champions on Sunday. One to keep an eye on. We'll let you know more when we know more at Cultaholic.com. There was some talk yesterday of AEW having numerous stars contracting COVID as well. We can confirm one of those was Ben Carter. He was wrestling for AEW this week. He took to Twitter to say, "I've tested positive for COVID-19. You literally can't write it. After this Tuesday, I was on an all-time high. And to be honest, I kind of still am. The outpouring of support recently has been utterly mind-blowing, and I can't thank everyone enough. Having said that, I had some really cool things lined up in the coming weeks that I now have to back out of, all of which really stings. But hey, I feel fine. I guess I don't really taste my food as much as I normally do, but I feel fine for now anyways." So we now know Ben Carter, who was on AEW Dark the other week, tested positive. We know Lance Archer has also tested positive as well. We send our best to both of those guys too, and anybody else within AEW and WWE who's been affected. Serena Deeb put out on Twitter that while she hasn't tested positive for COVID, as a precaution she's pulling out of a show coming up next week. She says, earlier this week I came into contact with an individual who later tested positive for COVID-19. I'm taking extra precaution and will be self-quarantining for 10 days. Due to this, I unfortunately have to postpone the match with Prime Time Live with Alison Kay. I offer my utmost apologies for this. This is a serious matter, and the health and safety of everyone involved always comes first. This is always going to be the issue when you're putting on wrestling shows. during a pandemic. Like with WWE, obviously, you've got Raw, SmackDown and NXT guys all working together. With AEW guys, you've got independent workers coming in for dark and then heading back out again. So on both sides, you could potentially, unless you're super diligent and super vigilant, it's a difficult one to control. So now we've seen both WWE and AEW having issues with COVID-19, and obviously, as I said, we'll let you know more at Cultaholic.com when we get it. Some changes have been announced on NXT UK, in particular behind the scenes, as a Zoom call was held yesterday to announce some structural changes to the brand. This comes from Inside the Ropes, who say that during this Zoom meeting, Glenn Joseph, it was announced, had left his role as one of the show's producers due to personal reasons. Jim Smallman, a fellow co-founder of Progress, has now been promoted to the brand's head writer. Also, as well as this, Jim Smallman will still be answering to Matt Bloom and Shawn Michaels. They very much still are running that brand from afar. We know that Shawn Michaels is able to dial into the gorilla position at NXT UK and essentially give orders during the tapings there. Also, we found out from this Zoom call that the NXT UK talent are arriving at the Performance Centre. I think they should be there now if they're not already on the way there. And they're beginning a 3-week training session before the next set of tapings at the BT Sports Studios. Now, the reason this is so long is because a lot of the guys turned up and were rusty and they had to reshoot quite a few bits, we understand. So it's a case of just getting these guys back into the form that people know them for. Do you know what? Totally get it. Like, we've all been locked in for 6 months. I'd be dead impressed. I'm very impressed with people that come out of lockdown and are thinner and healthier than they were when they went in. I've just been mainlining biscuits mainly. Also, we're expected to see some new talent make their debut for the brand very, very soon. So there's a bit of a gap in sort of the depth of the roster for NXT UK. I think that was always going to be an issue, and there's some names coming in on both the male and the female side that should spice it up. So NXT UK is back up and running, but British wrestling has been talked about all summer as a result of the speaking out movement. We've seen people coming forward and sharing their stories of abuse and harassment within the wrestling industry. This led to British wrestling being discussed in Parliament and has led to the formation of the all-party parliamentary group on wrestling. Now, yesterday, I was on the phone with one of the co-chairs of the group, Mark Fletcher MP, and we talked about a whole number of things in this interview. And when I asked him about his reaction to speaking out and the group as a whole, and he said, quote, "I read all the stories and I think it was a shameful moment, but it was also a moment in which an awful lot of people came together and said, this cannot happen again. We hope the organisation will help to provide a focal point and a source of which we can help to solve the problem." Away from speaking out on the subject of rebuilding the wrestling world post-COVID, Mark Fletcher said, "I think British wrestling was in a place of rebuilding when we came into this pandemic, and we need to make sure that when we come out of this, we're in a position of strong growth. We are in a place where our industry once again leads the world." We talked for about 15 minutes, me and Mark. You can hear the entire conversation on the Cultaholic News podcast. You can download that wherever you get your podcast from right now. It's daily news from the wrestling world in audio form, and the odd special interview, including my chat with co-chair of the all-party parliamentary group for professional wrestling, Mark Fletcher MP. And finally, we send our best wishes to Naomi, who is recovering from surgery, we found out. So we haven't seen Naomi for a while, and I guess this is probably why. She went onto her Instagram stories and shared this, saying, "In the midst of Hurricane Sally and COVID, I also underwent an unexpected 6-hour surgery to finally remove a massive fibroid that's caused me severe anemia, fatigue, horrible abdominal pains, and more problems I don't even want to mention over the past year and a half. I am recovering well, I'm relieved, and already feeling so much better. So family, friends, and fans, don't worry, I'm okay. I miss you." Sending big love to Naomi, who is on the road to recovery, hoping that come January, like for all of us, the world's a little bit better, you know? Rest up for the rest of the year, Let's all come back in January. In fact, let's all just come back in January, shall we? I'm back on Twitch today, twitch.tv/Cultaholic. It's Love You By Friday. Let's end the week on a high, shall we? It's live calls to the isolation station. If you want to be a part of it, you just jump onto twitch.tv/Cultaholic at 2 o'clock British time. What could possibly go wrong? It's the first time we've done it from the isolation station. I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm sure there'll be no technical nonsense. Stay safe. Love you, bye.